It's true. I'm laughing because it's true. John Harriet, we love you too, Brad. Yeah, very nice.
Oh.
All right. By the way, talking about ridiculousness and a little premonition by me. Okay, we talked about Joe Biden ending the Title 42, which would allow people at the southern border to reapply for amnesty from the border rather than trying to run across the border, get caught, and then file for amnesty. This is actually what was happening in Title 42 was the actual opposite of what Donald Trump wanted when he put in Title 42. So when he put in Title 42, basically he said, we're not going to accept any amnesty applications at the border. So you couldn't go up to the border guards and say, I'm here to apply for amnesty. They weren't allowing anyone in under the guise of COVID. So what did people do? A lot of people ended up in tent cities, which we showed. Many people just tried to run across the border.
Right.
If they ran across the border and made it into the United States and got caught, now they're applying for amnesty. All right, so it actually forced people to enter without inspection. Actually, it was the opposite of what you wanted. So now, Joe Biden is ending Title 42. And what did I say? The Republicans are going to say, oh, he's opening up the border, he's opening up the gates, he's allowing everybody in. People are pouring in across the border. You're going to hear it all. I said it's going to be very politicized. So what happened? Governor Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, he announced yesterday Texas is going to be sending busloads of people, all undocumented immigrants, to the steps of the United States Capitol to tent out there in response to Biden's administration ending Title 42. It's all over the news. Where is he getting these undocumented people to get on a bus to go live in a tent on the Capitol? What kind of stupid story is this? And it's all over the news.
Right.
For you out there right now, in Texas, if you're undocumented, are you going to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, Governor Abbott. Let me go on your bus.
Doubt it.
Go to Washington. I'm undocumented. Who's getting on this bus?
I don't know.
Abbott said during a news conference, it's all over the news, which is why I almost didn't want to even talk about it, but it's all over the news, so you can't not talk about it.
Right.
But I knew this was going to happen. Abbott said to help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are being dropped off by the administration, Texas is providing buses to send all these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C. Who's getting on this bus? Where are they finding these people? And by the way, nobody's being dropped off. You can now go to a border crossing and apply for amnesty. That's what you can do now.
Okay.
What you couldn't do before. Pretty ridiculous. And this was at least a little nice story coming out of Rotterdam in Europe. The travel industry is pitching in to help house some of the millions of people who have fled the conflict in Ukraine. We've been talking about this. Ukraine, there's now almost close to 4 million people who have been able to leave Ukraine, all women and children, because the men staying behind to fight. Women and children, nowhere to live, food, clothes, housing. Where are you putting 4 million people who just cross over a border? Well, a cruise liner has opened its doors to refugees. Holland America Line's Volendam, a 237-meter-long 10-deck cruise ship docked in the Dutch city of Rotterdam, has been recruited to provide temporary refuge for up to 1,500 Ukrainians. So refugees are going to be able to live on this 5-star luxury liner indefinitely.
Wow.
And they're getting fed. And according to the captain, his name is Ryan Whitaker, he said, our onboard team is known for its service and hospitality, and we are ready to welcome our new guests as we would welcome guests into our own homes. So it's like being on the cruise, except the cruise ship's not leaving anywhere. It's just being docked.
That's nice.
That's nice.
That is nice. That is really nice.
I thought that was very nice.
Ooh.
The Rotterdam is going to remain docked at Merwehaven, a cargo port on Rotterdam's River Maas, for the entirety of a 90-day period. So they're going to do this for 90 days.
Okay.
And those on board can disembark whenever they wish, including to attend school. The Rotterdam spokesman said city officials are also working hard to provide education to every Ukrainian child.
That's really nice.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And today, the United Nations General Assembly voted to suspend Russia from the Human Rights Council. The voting resulted was 93 in favor, 24 against, and 58 abstentions. Russia said, if you abstained, you're against us. People, a lot of countries are trying to ride the fence because they don't want to anger Russia.
Right.
Not because they don't. I can't imagine anyone believes that what Russia's doing is proper.
Except for themselves.
But there's geopolitical countries that have geopolitical constraints that sometimes they gotta ride the fence simply because Russia can cause problems for them as well if they go against Russia. So a lot of countries are abstaining just for geopolitical reasons, but 93 were in favor. Russia got kicked off the United Nations Human Rights Council. Would be quite a shame that a country who is indiscriminately killing civilians, the exact thing that the Human Rights Council is supposed to protect against, is on the council.
Right. Nobody likes the mean girls.
Yeah. Be like the bank robber being on the board of directors of the bank.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you put a bank robber on the board of directors of the bank? The General Assembly needed to vote in favor by 2/3 to remove Russia from the UN Human Rights Council. I'm glad they were able to do it. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield said Russia should not have a position of authority in a body whose purpose is to promote respect for human rights. Not only is it the height of hypocrisy, it is dangerous. Every day we see more and more how little Russia respects human rights.
Yeah.
And how that's going to affect the Human Rights Council is Russia, as a permanent member of the United Nations, they had a lot of sway in protecting many countries from human rights investigations that they were protecting, like Syria, Venezuela, North Korea. Who's going to protect these countries now on this Human Rights Council that Russia has been kicked off? So it has a political effect of embarrassing Russia and kicking it off and showing that the world is against Russia, but it also has long-term ramifications for countries that Russia was protecting.
You think Putin actually cares about all this?
I think he cares about Russia's position, for sure. I think he cares very much about how Russia is viewed by the world.
Right.
He views Russia as a superpower. Russia is not a superpower. It is the 11th largest economy in the world. Italy has a larger economy than Russia. You wouldn't call Italy a superpower.
No.
Russia is a superpower only because they have nuclear weapons. Their military has been shown not to even be effective against the Ukrainian military. Most military analysts thought Russia had a much stronger military and would be able to basically take over Ukraine within 36 hours, and that didn't happen. So I think Russia's a superpower because of nuclear weapons, but I don't think they're a superpower for any other reason.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, you asked, does Putin care? He does care. Everything is about image to Russia. They want to be known as the superpower. As a matter of fact, they're propping up the ruble over interest rates for Russians, over trade, international trade. Why are they propping up the ruble? Because it's very easy to manipulate. Inflation's not that bad. They could tell the average Russian person, we've got inflation under control. It's at 5% when it's going off at 30%. Because you can manipulate those numbers. What you can't manipulate is the price of the ruble, because it's international. Everybody sees it. So the one thing that they're doing is keeping the ruble up because it's all about image.
Gotcha.
But eventually it's all going to come, it's a house of cards that will all come crashing down to some point. And today, congratulations to Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yes. I saw that.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is the first black woman who will sit on the Supreme Court of the United States. The Senate confirmed President Biden's Supreme Court nominee today by a tally of 53 to 47. 3 Republicans joined all the Democrats. Senator Susan Collins of Maine, Mitt Romney of Utah, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska joined all the Democrats in favor. It was a 53 to 47 vote. And what was also nice was that the first black female Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, presided over the chamber of the Senate during this historic vote. In her capacity, she is the president of the Senate.
Ah.
Yes, and she's going to be sworn in sometime over the summer.
Nice.
But it's still going to be a conservative court. 6 conservatives, 3 liberals. She is not going to make it on time to decide on any of the upcoming abortion cases that are on the docket for the summer. And I don't know if you saw this or not, Jonathan, but another Supreme Court justice, Clarence Thomas, he is the most conservative. He's the most conservative of all of the Supreme Court justices. He is married to a woman by the name of what's the wife's name? Virginia Thomas. Duh. Clarence Thomas would be married to Virginia Thomas. Yep. So according to CBS News and the Washington Post, they reported last month that the wife of Clarence Thomas, Virginia Thomas, she's a conservative activist, and she exchanged 29 text messages with then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. He was the Chief of Staff for President Donald Trump, the pumpkin, during the January 6th insurrection. And she exchanged 29 private text messages with Mark Meadows in an effort to overturn the 2020 election. She even said in one text message, help this great president, talking about the pumpkin, Donald Trump. Help this great president stand firm, Mark. The majority knows Biden and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history. This is the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. So now people are saying that he should recuse himself from any case involving Donald Trump, the January 6th insurrection, and anything related to the 2020 election. There is no law that says he has to do it, although ethics would probably dictate that he does, and he says he will not do it as of now. There's actually a number of 2020 election-related cases that could make their way to the Supreme Court in the near future. 800 criminal cases stemming from the January 6th riot, as well as civil suits against Trump, as well as a whole bunch of other cases regarding election fraud and the election machines and everything else. I don't. What do you want me to do, Joe? Okay. And in coronavirus, there's a fresh wave of COVID-19 breakthrough cases that have swept through the nation's capital this week, striking officials at the highest levels of government and disrupting business, just as President Biden and other political leaders are trying to get us back to normal. Nancy Pelosi got struck with the bug. She's got COVID.
What?
But she is fully vaccinated and boosted and asymptomatic at the moment. 2 top Biden cabinet members, Attorney General Merrick Garland and Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, also tested positive.
Oh, wow. Don't mess with my girl Nancy, though.
Yeah, I like Nancy.
I do, too.
Yeah, she's tough.
She is. She's a tough cookie.
She's
she's
like your grandmother, like your tough grandmother, right?
I always tell the story. My younger brother was working with Obama, and I picked him up from the airport, and he was checking his text messages, and Nancy Pelosi is on there. It's hey, Hinak, like with her little voice. I'm like, I love her. There's something about her.
That would be great if, you're picking him up and she FaceTimes you. Right. Like, hey, you want to grab a salad for lunch? I'm like, what? Did Nancy Pelosi just answer that for salad?
She's awesome.
Meanwhile, a plurality of U.S. adults say they're now doing some, but not all of their activities they did pre-pandemic. 42% of adults are now saying they're trying to get back to normal. 27% say they have completely gotten back to normal, and 14% says the pandemic never affected them from the first place.
What?
I don't know what country they were living in. I don't know what country they were living in.
Because I don't think any country wasn't affected.
Yeah, and 59% of Americans still favor that people should continue to wear masks in some public places to minimize the spread of COVID. But 48% say the federal government should only 48% says there should be a mandate to extend the requirement for people to wear masks on planes and trains and other public transportation.
I think I'm part of that 27% that's basically back to normal.
you're back to normal.
Yeah.
I would say I am somewhere between almost back to normal and normal.
Okay.
I wouldn't say there's activities that I'm not doing, but I'm still in the back of my head weary.
I stopped.
Weary
That's
of
crazy.
COVID. So although I'm doing my thing,
right, but you're still thinking about it.
So I can't say that.
That's all the way.
Yeah.
See, I don't think about it really anymore.
And if I get into a very, very crowded place, I put on a mask. If I'm meeting people I don't know who they are, I still put on a mask. I still, not
but
that
it's so funny though, because it could also be somebody that you know.
I know.
It's just the way your mind
I don't
works.
know why I sit next to you every day, for example.
Right.
I mean, and you're going out to clubs, and I'm not nervous next to you.
Right. It's all in our mind.
It's all in our minds. You're 100% right. You're 100%. You're 100% right, but it is.
It's true. It's true.
So for me to say I'm back to normal, I can't say I'm back to normal.
Got you.
All right, you want to do some wacky world news? Let's do it.
Let's fly.
We're gonna fly around. There we go. There we are.
There we are.
Yeah.
Still flying us around.
Yeah.
She's still flying.
She's still a port pilot.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Once a week she gets on the plane with us.
She comes to pick us up.
Yeah. We got to go back to this alien in Australia. This guy, Alex Tan, he was walking on a beach in Queensland, Australia. All the crazy stuff happens in the UK or Australia.
Yeah.
Right? According to CBS News, Tan recorded video of his discovery, this is the guy, which he described as having this alien having human hands, long lizard tail, a nose like a possum, and patches of black fur.
Oh my God.
What the heck is this alien? Can we go back and look at that again, Ian? What the heck is this?
What is
that?
That's something real?
That is something real.
Maybe it's a mermaid.
That is not a fake photo. It's not a mermaid.
What is that?
Yes. He said in the video, I've stumbled across something weird. This is like one of those things you see when people claim they found aliens. Now, since posting the footage, people have said that it could be an alien. Others have said it could be a deer-head possum, a mini chupacabra, or an extinct marsupial.
Wait, how big is it?
How big is it?
Because a possum isn't. That thing looks like
that thing is pretty big.
It could be something like that.
It could be something like that.
But that thing looked big.
Now, according to Queensland Associate Professor Stephen Johnston, he told the Courier Mail out of Australia, after consultation with my colleague Heather Jantesky from the Queensland Museum, we're pretty sure it is a swollen, waterlogged bush-tailed possum who has lost its fur. And the animal was probably washed down into the ocean during the floods. That would be this possum.
So it's pretty small then.
Let's see this possum versus this alien. Can we see the alien now? That is not the possum.
Yeah,
that is not the possum.
Oh, wow.
They said they're pretty sure it's a possum. I say I'm pretty sure it's an alien.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jonathan? I think we were visited by some aliens, and they landed and realized they don't know how to swim.
I mean,
who knows? Aliens don't know how to swim,
There's so much in this world, especially in the water, that we've not explored or found. So it could be something that we just never knew existed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And on going over to India, yeah. So you say it's an undiscovered animal from the ocean.
Yes.
But it's not a possum.
No.
I say it's...
You say it's an alien?
I say it's an alien.
In Australia.
Meanwhile, we're going to move over to India, Jonathan. And on March 19th at 11:45, Vinod Kapri, a TV journalist and filmmaker, uploaded a recording that has a little over 2 minutes, titled "A Young Boy Running at Midnight," to his Twitter account. It has 11.4 million views. Kapri was coming home one night. He saw this boy running and thought maybe he needed some help. He slowed down to find out what his issue was. The boy said that he was in essence working at McDonald's and running home from McDonald's to his home because he was trying to get in shape to join the military.
Oh.
The boy turned out not to be having any issues. He was 19-year-old Pradeep Mehra. He just finished his shift at the McDonald's and he was returning home. Surprised by Capri asked him to get in the car. He said he would drive him. But the boy said he was running to keep fit so he could fulfill his dream of joining the Indian military. A career in the Army is a stable job for many young men in India. And until the pandemic hit, the Army recruiting an average of 55 to 60,000 graduates, mostly male, out of an average of 800,000 applicants every year. So the Indian Army is turning down 90% of the applicants.
Wow.
So
he's going to get it for this.
Yes, he is.
He's got to.
So Capri says the conversation left him deeply in awe. He says, I came to help, but instead I left inspired.
Wow.
Capri posted the recording, and Capri's ending caption was, "Run, Prandeep, run to your brighter destiny." And there's been some discussion in the Twitter feed about India's social inequity, depending on where you are born into society. But as the discussion went on, retired Army officers and generals reached out to this boy.
Wow.
And he is going to be joining the military, and he just got a 3-year scholarship to Minerva Academy, which specializes in training people for Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Oh, I love that. That was a really good story.
That's nice.
I like that story.
That's nice. And finally, in our last wacky news story, for years, there's been a cottage industry in Japan and South Korea of renting strangers to impersonate friends, family, members of other acquaintances. Very weird. You got to go to a party, Jonathan. You don't have a date. You go rent somebody. In most cultures, you call that, I guess, a prostitute, but escort or something, right? But in Japan, they're not selling themselves for sex or anything. It's just, you're my date.
Okay. They do that out here, too.
That's what they do. So this guy, Shoji Morimito, he's 38 years old. He has built a cult following by offering himself, not just as a date, but as a warm body who can simply be there, liberating his clients from the social expectations of the spoken and unspoken norms of Japanese society. He offers himself out as the do-nothing guy. Morimoto, nicknamed Rental-san. It's Rental-san. Incorporating an honorific, has inspired a television series and 3 books. He's had a lot of different gigs, Yo-Yo.
Okay.
He waited at the finish line of a marathon for a client who wanted to see a familiar face at the end of the race.
Oh.
He was hired by someone to sit with them while they finished their thesis. He listens to healthcare workers describe the mental health toll of the pandemic. He charges $85 per session. One woman hired him to accompany her as she filled out her divorce papers. He once sat with a client for a hemorrhoid surgery consultation.
Wow.
Someone hired him for a dramatic farewell as they boarded a bullet train to move from Tokyo to Osaka. He showed up just to wave goodbye. That's kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, I could do this.
Yeah, I said that. Jill said to me she wants to retire and do
this. What?
So Jill, because I didn't read this story until now, Jill goes, just wait till the last story. She goes, I want to do that in my retirement.
Yeah.
So the lifestyle works well for Morimoto, who is not that talkative or expressive even when he's not working. He wears his signature blue hat and a hoodie and a blank stare so that clients can easily recognize him. Morimoto says his business has taught him not to judge others, to have empathy for people who may be going through some deep personal challenges. He says, even if people look normal and fine on the surface, they often have shocking pasts or secrets or impossible problems. And you want to know what? That's true.
Never judge a book by its cover.
That is right. People who come to me with crazy problems, they're usually not people who look like they're suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone, even the ones that seem well, all have their own sets of problems and secrets. These are
that.
all, people just, a lot of people just lonely people. Just, they, like the person who was just there was nobody going to miss them in Tokyo as they were going to their new city. Aww. So he's like, you know what? I want to feel like someone's going to miss me, and they wave goodbye.
That's so sad though that you have to,
yes,
get somebody like that.
But it's very sad. It's very sad, especially living in big cities. People live in apartments. They don't know who their neighbors are. You go to work. You come home.
That's really dope.
You know,
I
so
like
a lot of people live, you know, like that.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
That is our
Awesome.
schmooze for the day, Yo-Yo.
That was great.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.